They even set up a situation where their team was on the same side as the opposition. Now, most fans don't pay no attention to that, but in the case of football team, see, we don't want to be nowhere near the opposition.
We did that because I think that the stands on the right field side were right down to the playing field level. If you'd had a bench in front of them, it would have been a mess.
Messier still was playing outdoors in the brutal winters of Minnesota.
When we played outside in Metropolitan Stadium with the snow blowers going and the big old Viking and snow stacked up on the sideline, that was Minnesota. That's what we were about.
Met Stadium was, I'm going to say, a cozy place, and the fans came together for warmth.
We used to look up in the stands and on some of the real cold winter days when the games were going on, we'd see people up there with their shirts off and Vikings painted on their bodies, and we think, God, these people got to really love us to do stuff like this.
It was a real event to say that I came out to the Met and I sat there and watched a football game and it was 25 below zero.
The unique bond between the Viking players and fans extended beyond the playing field on game day.
On the way out of the game, everybody invited you to their party, and it was very Minnesota.
We had pig roast and wiener roast and kegs of beer.
One guy brought a bear out there. He actually cooked a bear in the parking lot, and we had that. And it was just one thing after another.
You know, they'd be barbecuing, they'd give us a steak sandwich, a drink of beer, and, you know, just chat with the fans. And then I went to the Jets, where we needed police escorts to get from the Shea Stadium to our cars, because people were throwing stuff at us.
The Met was less hospitable to Viking opponents. For warm weather teams, the elements were as much an obstacle as the fierce Viking defense. As a result, Minnesota rarely lost at home in January.
We felt when you had to go in, especially in December, and play the Vikings in the old Met Stadium, that was good for 7 points, and you had to prepare for it. You had to find a way to overcome being 7 down, because generally the weather was going to be bad.
I remember one time we went to play, and it was a very important game, and we drove up to the stadium, and there was a mound, no, not a mound, a mountain of snow that they had put right next to the door of the dressing room. So we get off the bus, and we're going into the dressing room, and there's this thing that looks like a glacier.
When we went back there, we were totally intimidated by the weather and the field and all those things.
Those Hollywood's beach bums, they like to sit out there on the beach and nice and warm, and we got nice snow for them and zero weather, 8 degrees, 10 degrees, whatever. They don't tend to fare too well with that.
Stressing mental toughness, head coach Bud Grant banned heaters on the sideline. The players had little choice but to adapt to their frigid environment.
You'd be able to see the other team with their heaters and the heat coming off, and they'd be smiling at us and looking over, and we felt like orphans.
So the philosophy was stay focused, have your mind in the game, and your adrenaline will keep you warm. But the press didn't like us. They were freezing their fannies off up in the press box because that wasn't heated very well.
The common logic of a domed stadium eventually prevailed. And on December 20th, 1981, the Vikings played their final game at the Met. The sight of outdoor football has given way to indoor shopping as the Vikings now play in the Metrodome.
They moved the stadium downtown, and all the tailgating, as it happened out at the Met, stopped.
I think they're missing a boat by not being able to meet as many fans as they possibly can.
I never quite can tune into the fact that the Vikings don't have dirty pants. At one point there, I offered Coach Burns when he was coaching. I said, well, give me a job with the Vikings, and what it'll be is I want to stand outside the locker room as they go out onto the field and make sure their pants are dirty.
I think that's the way to play football, and even though up here in Minnesota you get the cold weather and the rain and the snow and the ice, but it was a great stadium, and you know, I enjoyed playing in it.
You think it was not an advantage from November through January? At the Met, they won 78% of their games. At the Metrodome, 58% of their games. 58% of their games.
Distant Replay is brought to you by the new Dodge and the new 4-door Ram Quad Cab pickup. The rules have changed.
Well, we are indoors and warm this evening. Brad Johnson and the Vikings. How will they do against the Packer defense? Playbook. We'll check back in with Leslie. Much more on the game right after this.